So for this tutorial, I want to talk about the difference between lines, bold, dark lines, outlines, or line variation versus guidelines. Okay, so the best way to demonstrate a guideline, and I want you to follow along on a scrap sheet of paper, is we're going to just draw a dark circle, really dark, press as hard as you can, right? So in the next circle, I want you to press just a little bit lighter. And then in the third circle, I want you to press even lighter. Right? So you're using the least amount of pressure over here. You notice the difference in how dark this line is versus how light this line is? Well, this is an ideal guideline right here. And the reason why this is an ideal guideline is because it can be erased. Or you can draw over it and correct it, right? This line cannot be erased. Once it's drawn and it's that dark, it's commitment, it's set in stone. So you want to get into the practice of doing any kind of guidelines or underdrawings with a very light pressure and a light line. So I'm drinking this soda right now, and I'm going to use this can as an example to lay out a drawing real quick. So if I'm using guidelines and I start off with very light lines, laying out the edges and proportions of the can, if I make a mistake, it's easy to fix, right? So if I'm laying everything out first, very light, first of all, not only does it prevent you from having dark outlines to erase or lines that interfere with your drawing, but drawing light with light pressure also enables you to have freer flow of motion, right? So when your motion is free, your lines are easier to draw. It's easier to move your arm around and get a nice drawing, okay? So if I'm laying the drawing out like this, and I'm going to go ahead and do some of the details just to show you that you can just keep drawing on top of all your lines. I'm also going to lay out some of the reflections and the dark and light areas, the highlights and dark areas. So I'm just mapping out some of the things that I see in the can real quick. And then, of course, then there's the lettering. So everything I'm doing, I'm keeping it nice and light. It's enabling me to flow, my movement to flow. But also if I make a mistake, it's super easy to fix. I don't have to do any erasing. Notice how I haven't done any erasing yet. I don't need to erase the lines. My lines are light enough that I can just draw over everything. And then, so the lettering is, right? So right now I feel like the proportion, I feel like it's too short, like the can is too short. So if I wanted to make some changes, which I think I want to make the changes at the top, right? So I'm able to erase away the stuff I have at the top, and I can extend the proportions, the height of the can, and redraw the top of the can. And that way my can is a little bit better proportioned. And then I can start going and mapping out some of the detail there, right? So this is a guideline. Like if I were to go and draw in this can, after I lay out the guideline, check the proportion, and I'm happy with the way the proportions and the edges look, I can start to go in and darken things up. So the lettering is darker. See how the lettering is pretty dark, right? So the lettering is darker. Then I can go in and do my dark bold lines on top of my guidelines. So basically your guidelines are your underdrawing. And if you learn how to do an underdrawing and keep your guidelines nice and light, you'll find that you're not erasing very much, right? And you'll also find that your hand moves around. You have a lot more motor control over the flow of your pencil line, okay? Versus if I'm drawing dark, right? So I'm drawing really dark here, And I'm already setting in stone. I'm already committing to every line that I make. And if I make a mistake, there's no way for me to get rid of all the lines I've already made, right? So it's more of a gestural drawing. I mean, they're both gestural drawings, but the proportion of this can is off already, right? And then I have some of the symmetricality is off already. So if I go to fix it, not only are the dark lines that are already there distracting, so they're distracting me so I can't quite see where to put the new lines, but they're also, I can't get rid of the old lines. So once I draw in dark lines, I can't erase them away. So it's much easier to start off really light, and then when you go to shade in, then you don't have any erasing to do. You can just shade in right over your guidelines. And by the time you're done with your shading on your drawing, the guidelines really just disappear on their own, right? They disappear into the shading on their own.